What's going on, guys? It's Bert and I'm doing a video today on the temperature gauge inside my BMW M2 and really inside all of the 2 Series models that BMW has. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So this gauge here that you guys see that has the kind of blue and the red and the temperature in the middle, some of you guys may or may not have this in your car, and I'm going to be kind of doing a couple things in this video. The first thing I'm going to do is kind of explain this gauge and how to get it in your car, because some cars have it, some don't. And then I'm going to be comparing it to the actual temperatures inside this car. So I'm going to be reading those through an app called BimmerLink, which pretty much allows me to read the transmission temperature, oil temperature, coolant, everything. So I'm going to basically be saying, how accurate is this gauge? When this gauge says okay, is it actually okay to start pushing and ripping your car? So I'm going to be doing all that in this video. So how do you get this gauge in your car? So this mostly applies really to 2 Series owners and owners of the M2s. Now, if you have like a 3 Series or 4 Series, you probably have a separate gauge actually in your car as a dial that'll tell you what the temperature is for your oil. Most 2 Series do not have it, and they don't have it on by default if they actually have it. So in this case, let me flip the camera around. So if you look, if I cycle through all the little things, so that's using here the BC button, eventually you can come across a temperature gauge. Now the thing is with this gauge is it is not active by default in most cars. So let me use my M240i as an example, because I had an M240i from 2017 and it did not have this gauge. So what you could do through an app called BimmerCode is you can actually code this little gauge into your car. Not all cars that you can code this into, like my M240i, will actually work. So you could code in the gauge, but the dial will just be stuck over here in the blue and it won't actually read the temperatures. Whereas this car, the M2, it actually works. So the dial is currently in the middle. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drive around with the camera pointed at the dial and then at my gauges, and I'm gonna kind of show as time goes on, as I warm up my car, what the temperatures are kind of in that range. Now, even though this is on my BMW M2, this gauge, typically it's not actually even on by default. You would actually have to use an app like BimmerCode to code it in. But when I actually took delivery of this car, it had the gauge on here, which means most likely the previous owner actually did that, which is pretty cool. So they had the same kind of thought process as I do. So I could do a whole video on kind of coding in your car at some point in the future, but that's not what this video is about. This video is going to be more so about how accurate actually is this dial. Like if this says okay and it's right in the middle, is your car actually up to temperature? And at what point is it kind of okay to really start pushing it? Obviously, as you can see, the car is up to temperature. Actually, I'm recording this intro after I did my drive warming up the car. So I'm going to show you guys that footage now. So I am going to speed that footage up. So I'm not going to play the whole 10-minute clip of warming the car up. I am just going to kind of shorten it down to like a minute. So you kind of see where and at what point the temperature kind of looks to be okay to kind of start driving the car and pushing it. Let me show you guys that now. All right, and we're back. For the most part, it looks like the temperature is like smack in the middle, around kind of 88 to 90 degrees Celsius, which is about right. If you're kind of normal driving, once your car reaches kind of that point, you're pretty a-okay to really start ripping the car. I would say once the temperature is about like the high 70s and like low 80s, you're pretty okay to start pushing it. And once it's kind of at that 90 point, you're pretty much a-okay. So it looks like once the oil temperature also reaches 60 degrees Celsius, at that point it starts to say okay, and then you kind of have that 20 degrees between 60 and 80, where I would say you could probably push it past 3,000 RPM, but I wouldn't redline the car yet. But once you get to the middle, then you're pretty much good to go. While it still says cold, I would try to keep the revs under 3,000 and only go above that if you really need to. It doesn't really take that long to warm this car up, so just take the extra bit of time, drive the car with a bit more care, a bit slower, keep the RPMs a little lower, let the car warm up, and just kind of help the longevity of the car. For all intents and purposes, I would say yes, if you have this gauge in your car, you can trust it without knowing the actual temperatures of everything in your car. So if you guys found this video helpful in any way, if you thought it was kind of interesting, let me know in the comments, leave me a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos. I will at some point in the future probably make a video on how to code this temperature gauge into your car. Now again, this mostly applies to 2 Series owners and owners of the M2. And just because you can code the gauge in does not mean the gauge will actually work. So bear that in mind. It works on my M2. It did not work on my M240i, which was a year newer. So just bear that in mind, but I will probably make a video at some point in the future on that, and how to access like the hidden menu with the oil temperature gauge on there as well. And that's going to be it for this one. So thank you guys so much for watching. Till next time.